All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Word with Ty Brownlow. I am your host, Ty Brownlow. Remember, no one is worthless, no story is worthless. Today, ladies and gentlemen, man, look here, we doing good in the hood. Y'all already know what it is. If you're doing good in the hood, if I can find you, I'm gonna find you. And we're gonna shout you out and we're gonna give you these flowers. So the gentleman next to me, as you all see, man, is coming live from the East Coast. Y'all already know what it is. Baltimore, B-more. You know what I'm saying? They got them good crab cakes, y'all, you know.
Yes, sir.
You know, I'm just saying. All right. Ever am joining me tonight. Man, please give your round of applause. Give, your attention and everything else to Mr. Cheston Green.
Thank you so much, Todd. Thank you for allowing me to be on your platform tonight. I'm really excited.
Man, look here. The pleasure is all mine. And, let me just give you your props, okay? Man, ladies and gentlemen, youth mentor, okay? All right? Man, look here. Born again Christian, all right? We're gonna really talk about it today, So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just letting y'all know, this is the disclaimer. If you feel like your feelings are hurt, man, you probably fit the bill. Okay, so I'm just letting y'all know now, all right? But for those, I wonder who he talking about. We ain't talking about you, so you ain't got to worry. Look, all right. But no, recording artist, all right, and songwriter. So we're going to talk about all this good stuff. And, he's doing good stuff in the hood, as I said, helping youth with mental health issues or what have you. So we just gonna start from the beginning, okay? Gospel Music Heritage Month. All right. Now you're a singer, songwriter. Tell us about, how you even got started, in this singing and songwriting field.
So I actually grew up in a family of singers. My grandfather was a quartet singer. My maternal grandfather was a quartet singer. My grandmother sings. All of my mother's siblings all sing. Their children all sing, except for maybe 4. I have, I think, 16 first cousins. And out of the 16, I think there's maybe 4 that don't sing. So I kind of didn't get to choose it. It kind of chose me. Even my grandfather's siblings, they sing, their children sing. My grandmother's siblings sing, her parents sang. So it's something that's rich in my heritage. And I started, as most people do, in the church. My grandfather would put us up on, he was like the usher board president. So every occasion back home, every anniversary had to have a concert. And so my grandfather would always say, I'm gonna have my grandchildren come sing. We never had a group name, but he would always get up and we would sing a song from the Winans called Time to Make That Change. Right. And that was like our go-to selection or whatever. And it just kind of has evolved from there, man. I love it. I fell in love with songwriting probably when I was a teenager, when I started thinking about like how to convey words. I would play music, whatever was current, I would just play it so I could have some music to hear, and I would figure out like what could I write around that, like, or how could I, because I'm not a musician as far as an instrumentalist. I didn't really know how to play piano or anything, so I couldn't like make up the melody and then write. So I had to figure it out on my own, and then eventually I just started making the melody up in my head and just kind of went from there.
Okay, first and foremost, let me just say right now, man, look, as a creative, I understand. I can dig it. Like, look, I know what it's supposed to sound like. I even know what it's supposed to look like. I just don't have whatever it needs to put it together. But I could tell, man, I'm telling you, here it is in my mind. Look, It sounds like this. It sounds like that. Let me ask you, I find it, interesting, the origin of songwriters, producers, like people who actually like create the trend that, other people, let's just say it, sometimes take credit for, but I mean, man, it's the people behind the scenes making the engine go. I've always said it. I will continue to say it. And if you mad at that, just be mad at that. But you take them people away and see what happens. Anyway, I'm gonna get off that thing. Okay, all right. But no. So let me ask you, like, as a songwriter, what song was it for you that, like, man, it like, you know what? Yes, I can do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, every time I hear this song, man, like, as you said, trying to convey words, trying to put words together, but not only that, like, man, like emotion, feeling, because there's a science to everything. As you said, you're not a instrumentalist. You know what I'm saying? You don't play instruments. You know, man, I'm not a musician on that end, but I have a science of songwriting. I know how to convey my words. I know what I want to say. I know how I want to express it. I could tell you the tune in my head, but I mean, only, you know, those types of people can put that together. But as far as words or whatever, what it's supposed to say, like, what was it for you?
I think it was a process. So I remember hearing as a child a song from the Williams Brothers called "I'm Just a Nobody." And it was yeah, and it was so cleverly written.
Trying to tell everybody.
Right,
about somebody.
Right.
Okay, look, anyway, come on now.
But you helped me, so I had to sing it. It's the play on words. I'm just a nobody, trying to tell everybody about somebody who can save anybody. So they use that one word body to just evolve and tell a story. And so that's when I started being like, man, that was powerful. And I remember, I think I was maybe like 6 or 7, it would move me to tears hearing that song. Then when I got a little older, the Clark sisters put out their Miracle album. This is when it was just Jackie, Dorinda, and Karen. And on that Miracle album, they did a remake, Jesus is the Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me. So when Dorinda used to sing that song, that thing would give me chills to the point, because the chorus, her chorus would say, if anyone should ever write my life story, for whatever reason there might be, he's been there between each line of pain and glory. Jesus is the best thing that ever happened to me. And I remember probably at this point, maybe almost 10, saying like, that says like he's been there between each line. It was like I could see it. And so it just kind of sparked there. But when I actually knew I had it, I don't know if I really knew I had it then. It's what happened to help me know I had it. So what happened was I had been writing songs for a while, and my youth minister at the time said, hey, we need a theme song for this year's conference. So we would, every conference would have its own theme song or whatever. So we're like, okay, now like whoever writes the best theme song, wins. The song will be sung every night, make it like a fun competition. And so I remember writing the song, and the song said, running to the battle. Satan won't make a punk out of me. It's for a youth conference, so I tried to kind of keep it youthful. And I sang it to my cousin who has perfect pitch. And I explained to him like what it sounded like and how it would move. But he was like, all right, I got it. He just started playing it. Well, it was the week of the conference. We sang it that Sunday morning. Everybody was like, that's a really nice song. Tuesday night, we sang it again. I think Wednesday, my then pastor says, I wanted to sing that song again. And they asked, who wrote that song? And he was like, Cheston wrote the song. So then it became a thing of people like, man, that was a really powerful song. Months go by and people would come up to me and say, man, I still like play the, because back then churches would record the whole service on a CD. They was like, I still play that CD just so I can hear the song or things like that. So it told me then that what I was hearing in my head, which is really something God gave me, because I can't take credit for it, the way songs sometimes come to me. It's just kind of like a download. I could be driving and just get a random inspiration, and I think it's funny. And then I start like writing it, and then God will be like, no, this is a serious song. And then I'll start writing. I'm like, okay, now I see I got something. So it wasn't until other people started really affirming me and saying they understood the gift and the calling and anointing of songwriting that I realized, oh, this isn't just something by happenstance. This is really something God has given me.
Yeah, look, amazing. Okay, let me just say that, like, seriously, like, to really have that like ability, as you said, man. I mean, no offense to poetry, because man, like, there's some real dope poetry out here. But I mean, if we're going to compare or whatever, like, yeah, like you have to be like a Shakespeare of songwriting, almost, in a sense, like you really have to hone the craft. It just can't be something, oh, well, you know what, yeah, okay, I'm good now. And, like I wrote some songs in my teens, but then after that, that was it. Like you just give up on your gift. Um, Now, I want to talk about something real interesting because as we're talking about, you growing up in the church and, you singing these songs and, family and everything were singers and people singing in quartets and man, like all kinds of, music, history. Now, for those who don't know, like you're not from Baltimore, you're originally from North Carolina. Okay.
Yes.
So, I know for a fact, but just because I know doesn't mean everybody else knows. But when we really talk about, untapped hubs of music, okay, like the East Coast, especially like, along that area, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama, you know what I'm saying, which has produced goo gobs of musicians. Everybody know about Georgia or what have you. But there are states, seriously, man, like they go back. I mean, heavy hitters, you know what I'm saying? But talk about the musical influence growing up in North Carolina and how all that, came into, play for you to be where you are now, as far as like songwriting.
So when I think of the heritage of not just gospel, but the heritage of Black music in North Carolina, I had to say people like Shirley Caesar, I had to say people like John P. Key, I had to say people like Fantasia Barrino, Casey and JoJo. I mean, the list goes on, and I don't have time to list all of them, but I will say, growing up in North Carolina, we had this thing called Joy Fest. So the East Coast, one of the largest gospel festivals is Joy Fest. Joy Fest happens in two places. One happens in Kings Dominion, and it's not Richmond, Virginia. I can't remember the city that Kings Dominion is in, but Kings Dominion is in Virginia. And then Carowinds, which is in Charlotte, technically is in North Carolina and South Carolina because it literally sits on the line. As you're walking through the park, there's a thing that says state line. So, but it's in Charlotte, and they have Joy Fest at Carowinds. So every year for years, for maybe 10 years, me and my family would go to Carowinds. It was Memorial Day weekend, and we would go. You could pay for a amusement park ticket and get the concert ticket included. And so they would have like choir fest, all kinds of different presentations during the day, but at night would be the big conglomerate of a gospel concert, and they would have everybody you could think of. I've seen Ty Tribbett, I've seen Kurt Franklin, I've seen Mary, I've seen the Clark sisters, I've seen Lecrae. I've seen more people than I can list or name as a child, from a child to almost an adult. And so like having those experiences, going to musicals where I was sitting in a musical and Donald Lawrence and the Tri-City Singers. Well, a lot of people don't know the Tri-City Singers are from Charlotte. The Tri-City is Charlotte, Spartanburg. I forgot the other city. But it's 3 cities between South Carolina and North Carolina that makes the Tri-City Singers. So one of his singers, Blanche McAllister Dykes, she was at a musical that I was invited to. Man, when she got up, and this lady has a rich tenor voice. I mean, rich, almost like how Layla Hathaway uses her bottom. So when she walked in that room, and I had listened to this lady for years, and I'm an adult, and she gets to the mic, and I'm like, ooh, relax, because she's about to kill it, But having those experiences, seeing these people in these spaces, I've seen James Moore, I saw Timothy Wright. Timothy Wright actually, a couple years before he passed, he came to my church because his son is a member of my mom's church back home. Mm-hmm. So I've seen Timothy Wright. So being in these events, these concerts, these rooms with these people, you soak all that up. I've gone to John P. Key's church for a late night musical, and like you, as a singer and songwriter, you just stand there and you just try to get everything you can out of that room. Mm-hmm. You try to remember the memories and every small detail so that you can find ways to incorporate that, or find ways to, like, even if it's a run, you hear somebody do a run, it's like you'll repeat that over and over again, or you record it on your phone so you can go back and listen to it. So those experiences, I'm sure people have those other places, but I grew up in a place that was rich in music. I mean, we would have about 6 maybe concerts at my home church growing up every year. So my mom sang, my cousin sang, my grandfather sang, my uncle sang. So it would be my family's in-laws sang. So it was like everybody in every family represented had at least like two groups, an adult group and then a kid group. Maybe a men's group, then a women's group. You just never know. But all of that kind of poured into my understanding of songwriting, because you would have those moments where you see a mic toss where somebody makes up a line off, from something that was being played or something that was being sung, or things like that. Those sometimes in church we call them prophetic flow moments. Mm-hmm. Those are the things that you experience in those settings. So I can't say it doesn't happen anywhere else, but I know for sure it happens in North Carolina.
Okay, well, no, all right. But man, ladies and gentlemen, for those who know, y'all know everything he just described. Like, he really gave you, man, the feeling of being in a church, being in that lifestyle, being, like, okay, man, we have to travel here on Wednesday to John P. Key's church. Man, Saturday, before we even have our own church, we got to go over here across town to somebody else's church, to sing. And then, after we have our service on Sunday at 5:00, we got to roll out, over here, to do this and the other.
Yes.
So, really, it's like another life, man. Like, that's your, like, life, mm-hmm. Like, you live, like, a double life. But as I said, rich in music, like that, man, music and praise hand in hand. All right.
Yeah.
So as you growing up in the church and, getting all this experience and going to these concerts, seeing these people that you hear normally on like albums or what have you, radio, this, that, what have you, like, as I said, North Carolina is a hotbed of music, and I think a lot of people really don't realize, just like the amount of talent that has come through there, and like the musical influences as well. So, hey, look, come on now, look. I don't know, y'all. We having a little church in here, it might get a little hot. We ain't passing down no collection plate or nothing, but
no collection plate. All right. No collection plate.
No, but no. So let's talk about you being a youth mentor. Now, you are a co-founder of Single, Saved, and Social. Can you talk a little bit about?
Yes. So Single, Saved, and Social is an initiative that a friend of mine and myself came together to create spaces where Christian singles from around ages 18 to like 50 can come meet other people, have some discussions about singleness. I think a lot of times in church, people, if you're not married, they put you in this group of like less than, or a group where it's like you're spoiling or wasting away. When the truth of the matter is, my life is, I shouldn't say it that way. Sometimes I feel like my life is better than people who are married with children, because I don't have to, I get up out of my bed and I decide to do what I want to do. I don't have to ask nobody. If I decide to go to California to go visit one of my best friends, I just go to California. I don't really have to say, but I got to see if the kids' schedule, and I'm free to roam how I want to roam. I'm free to have all these experiences. And not that my life is better, but sometimes it's a lot easier to be able to vacation or to just do stuff that benefits me. If I had a family, I may not be able to spend as much money as I have spent in making music because I have other responsibilities. So we did that. We would host events. We hosted about, I think, 4 like sold out events, a brunch. One of the events was like a panel discussion. Well, most of the events always had like a panel discussion, but we would have like either live music or a DJ. We would have food and have conversations, have vendors. So we did that for about, I want to say about 4 years, 3 or 4 years, give or take. And COVID happened. We were trying to figure out how to maneuver through that. And in all honesty, we just haven't really found a way to get back into the swing of things. So that's something that we've kind of put on pause for now. But Single, Saved, and Social is something that was dear to my heart, because when I moved to Maryland, I realized that a lot of times in church, we didn't know how to date. You would date somebody who was in your church already, someone like, in your circle or whatever. But I went to a larger church when I was growing up. So from the age of 16 to about 26, I was in a mega church, like 2,000 members. So there was plenty. It wasn't like, and I'm trying to say this in a way that doesn't sound crazy, but it wasn't like you had to pick from the same group of people. Like you could have other friends. There were groups of people who were friends and other people who weren't maybe not socialized with that group. Not that they hated them, just had a different group of people.
Right.
But when you're in a small church, you never really had that option. And a lot of times those brothers and sisters become your brothers and sisters. So it was a way to try to introduce singles from other churches, other reformations, and give everybody a safe space to mingle and possibly or potentially date and have relationships. So it was a blast doing it.
Well, let me just say, first and foremost, man, you bring us the key points because, you're talking about people learning how to date, just the whole relationship breakdown between men and women. Seriously, like if you're going off social media, especially Twitter, oh my God, like if you're going off these optics or whatever, it's horrible. All right. I mean, life is doomed. Just forget about it, but I will admit there is somewhat of a breakdown between, male and female relations or what have you, and not just black and male and female. We're just talking about pretty much across the board, and you
right.
having something such as single, safe, and social, teaching people what did you say, 18 to 50?
Yeah, so it was we always made it open. A lot of times we would get people from there like mid-20s to maybe early 40s, but we've had some, because I have friends who are over the age of 40 who are single, so they would come to the event just to support and show love. So yeah, anywhere from about 18 to 50 sometimes is what the crowd could be.
Okay, well, hey man, look, I mean, seriously, like sometimes we take lessons from what we know, and sometimes what we know isn't always the most positive of things,
Right.
And when we end up emulating that and we don't get corrected, or we don't get taught, hey, here's a proper way to introduce yourself to what it is that you want, or you can go about getting what you want this way instead of like being brash and brutal or vulgar or what have you. So pretty much, as I said, hats off to you. All right, now I want to talk about this movement, man. You had a movement, the Oh My Brother movement. Sanctuary for Men. As I said, youth mentor, and you also, have worked with youth struggling with mental health. September is suicide prevention month, what have you, and we're just bringing awareness. But talk about your work, in like the Oh My Brother movement, and we'll talk about the youth and mental health in a second.
Okay, so Oh My Brother, shout out to 4 incredible brothers who started this organization with me, Chris, Jay, Mike, and Dominique. I came up with this concept of Oh My Brother some years ago. I was realizing that a lot of times it's another deficit, right? So there was like a group of older men in the church who were really close, and then there's a group of younger men who kind of all do their own thing, kind of disjointed, for lack of a better word. And so I just started kind of thinking of like, how can we support one another? How can we be there for one another? And then as I started doing research, because I'm a person who likes to look at the science. I'm a psych major, so I look at the science behind things too. So I'm like, something about this men connecting is a thing. And so statistically speaking, men who enter their 30s go through depression because they lose a sense of community. What tend to happen is you have children, you have a wife, and then you have your career, and maybe you have church or other extracurricular activities that you do outside of the home. Those things tend to take a lot of your time and energy, and it tends to make it more challenging to connect or stay connected with other men who you've been connected with for years. Just because life gets hectic. I think women are a little bit different because women sometimes are a little bit more communal in a sense of, they may call each other on the phone and, talk or whatever. Or, women may call me in and they have that conversation. But guys, sometimes we don't necessarily just sit and talk on the phone for hours. Or you may have somebody that you're really close to. I have one of my cousins, he's like a brother to me. He's one of my best friends. Usually we don't talk. We used to talk every week for like an hour. Now we don't talk as much, but when we talk, sometimes it's like 2 hours go by just to catch up on like, his life, and he just moved and he's married, and those things. My own biological brother, he and I don't talk every week, but when we talk, sometimes we talk 2-3 hours because we're just talking about life and everything that's happening. But everybody doesn't have that. All guys don't have that. And so on my brother was literally first in the transition of the pandemic. Everything happened around this pandemic. So we started having conversations about like what it would look like. We came together and I was like, all right, we're going to launch this thing. And then COVID happened and it was like, well, what do we do? So we sat for about almost a year. And so then I was like, well, I have this online platform on Facebook. Let's start driving some engagement there and let's just see what comes of it. And that's what happened. So I want to say we have now about under 200 brothers all over the country. We have some in California, some in Texas, some in Florida. I mean, literally brothers all over the country. Okay. All different reformations and Christianity, and it really is a place where we come together. We come together quarterly to have a speakeasy conversation. So when you think of speakeasy, you think of excuse me, a bar or something where men come together, and it's usually like a quiet place or not necessarily secretive, but it's kind of away from everything where they just chill, like men might smoke cigars, have whiskey, whatever. So our speakeasy is a place where we just come together on Zoom, have some conversations about what's happening in life, kind of check in with each other, and then we share some type of empowering or encouraging word based, with scripture, and just have a time to fellowship and talk. And that's just something that has grown. We've been doing it now for about 3 years, I believe. And it's been beneficial. At first, we were trying to like get everybody we can, and then we started realizing that the better speakeasies and the better engagement sometimes happen in those smaller groups. So we've just been working that, and it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing to me because I do have a biological brother. We weren't raised together. I have cousins, but on my mom's side, for the most part, I'm like the oldest male cousin. So there's like a gap. It's me with all of my older girl cousins. I had 2 other cousins who kind of were in and out, but I didn't have a whole lot of guys around me. I didn't have a whole lot of brothers. And so having my brother has connected me with brothers in a way that's been really beneficial for my own spiritual development and growth. And it's like the Bible tells us, iron sharpens iron, sharpeneth iron. So it's us being able to kind of just hold each other accountable, have hard conversations with each other to say, hey man, this isn't really what integrity looks like, or this isn't what long suffering looks like. Like, how can I help you? How can I support you? Not in a way of condemning someone, but really having a conversation to uplift them. Because the Bible tells us that we all will fall short, right? But it says once you have been restored, it's your job to help a brother.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna keep it real, like, let me just say, I think it's dope that you even have that network, of men, hey, it started off small. Now we're, just about at 200, man, we're probably going to get, more than likely, we're going to get more. But the way you're growing and you're going about it, like, yeah, you can want to rush to get all the, like, I mean, if you're looking at optics and just like the aesthetic of things, like, hey, I want these numbers. But when it's something, man, and you brought up a lot of like great points, even in the church, because there is that gap between, man, let's just say you're in the church, man, like I may be a younger deacon or an older deacon. So I may hang with all of the older deacons that, have been around since I've been around. Now, at the younger deacon board, over there, okay, all right. So you guys are, the young guys or whatever, y'all talk about things that we don't really talk about or whatever, but there has to be a connection. And especially for men, man, having that connection, men empowering men. Like, for real, that is something, like, I know we talk a whole bunch about women empowering women, and man, straight up ladies, I love y'all. Y'all already know, man, sisters all day, man, y'all gonna make it happen. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even tripping on y'all. But men empowering men, like, for real, like, I mean.
Yes, necessary.
It even sounds funny, sometimes saying it as a man, but we need other men to empower us sometimes. We can't fall into the trap of what social media and the media or, what others may say that we are, because at the end of the day, we need, look here, I can definitely attest, you know, as, you know, an older male, almost 50, you know, my circle of friends, you know, I still have a certain circle of friends, but even within that circle of friends, we have, man, my life is totally different now than
I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
life, you know, heck, I'm sitting here talking to you, hosting the show, you know what I'm saying? That takes time to edit the show. That takes time to like do all these other things, take time. There are other things, you know, in my life that I'm doing, you know, that take up my time. So sitting around, shooting the breeze, going out, you know, to these shows, you know, concerts or whatever, going out to clubs and stuff like that, we just don't do that anymore. And, you know, it gets to a point, and I can attest for this, and I know there's thousands of other men who can attest to this after a certain age, where you wonder if you're going to find new organic friendships, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's not to say, as I said, you're not friends with those people anymore. Those friendships are just different now. So you're just at a different point where, okay, I need to be engaging with these types of people because this is just the plane that I'm on. So for you to have that circle where people can, you know, man, older and younger, you know, because look, and we're about to talk about it in a second, you know, you are a youth mentor, you know, there are youth. Sometimes there are youth who find their transition so early in life, it's like astounding, you know, like, geez, like, wait a minute. I remember being your age, like, man, please, it was a totally different story for me. But, you know, there are certain youth who find what it is that they, you know, want to do or make their life's mission. And, you know, like when you come across those, you have to nurture that. You know, I don't care what age you are, man, 20, 30, 40, 50 or whatever. When you come across a young person who knows what it is that they want and their mindset is, you know, in a certain place, you have to like nurture and harvest that, man. And man, you know what I'm saying, make sure that is like straight healthy, because, you know, like, seriously, and I'm just gonna say it, y'all get mad at me if you want to, but in the African American community, we know how it is, man. Look, something so case in point. Do you go grocery shopping? I go grocery shopping, okay? I know when I'm in a grocery store sometimes, you know, man, look, they might be playing Earth, Wind, and Fire, you know what I'm saying, you know, over the, like, you know, the radio airways or whatever. I'm in a, you know, shining star, and I'm like, okay, yeah.
Right.
You know, we get that. Come across a brother, you know what I'm saying? Man, it don't matter the age, but sometimes you come across a person, man, you can give them the hello or, you know, the nod or, you know, hey, brother, you know, and sometimes they just, and man, they're going to the business.
Real stoic.
and you know, well, I don't let it bother my day because Earth, Wind, and Fire on. But, you know, I mean, I'm just saying, I don't let it bother my day and I keep going about my business. But we need more like interactions of, hey, brother, man, you good, bro? Man, I'm good.
Right.
Bro, man. You know, it's this, that, and the other. But men empowering men, and you having this sanctuary for men, older and younger, getting them together to express, mingle, you know, break down stereotypes.
Listen, I just want to say this, because you kind of keep dancing around this thing that just keeps resonating in my mind. In the Bible, we know this story, and I'll just tell it in layman's terms. It's a man who's lame, and he can't walk, he can't do anything. So 4 guys pick up his mat, they tear the roof off of this house that Jesus is preaching in, and they lower the man so that they can get the man to Jesus. Jesus is in the middle of preaching, and the roof is being torn off from over his head, right? That man had no ability to do anything. It was his brothers who got him to a place where he got what he needed. Sometimes we need that. We need that connection. We need that grocery store moment where it's like, what's up, man? Like, just something small. I was in a grocery store recently, the craziest thing, it's like 7 or 8 kids literally running through the grocery store. They're running to the back of the grocery store, like doing all kinds of stuff. And one of the kids, I had a Tupac t-shirt on. He was like, yo, I like your shirt. He was like, I like your hair. You were cool. And I was like, thanks. So at first I wasn't really paying a whole lot of attention. I got my headphones. I'm actually on the phone with my cousin. And so my cousin said, what is going on? This and like I said, something is off. He was like, well, call me back and make sure you get home safe. I was like, all right, cool. In his mind, he's thinking it's about to get robbed because he hear all this shuffle. Kids are running to the back of the store. And I just say, the adult in me is like, hey, what are y'all doing? And they all stopped and was like, huh? I said, what are y'all doing? One guy was like, I don't know, I'm out of here. He took off, ran out the store. Another guy was like, oh, I'm going to the back with a bunch of my friends. And I was like, y'all about to get in trouble. And he was like, oh my God. And then they all like, start running around, continue to run around, said something to the manager. And they end up, making them, escorting them out. But in that moment, like, they probably needed somebody just to shock them. Like, wait a minute, I can't just be acting a fool and think I'm not going to have any kind of consequence. I don't know if it'll change their whole life, but my hope is that in that moment, something in them said, wait a minute, like this ain't the road I'm supposed to be going down. So we have to be active and intentional, even if it's just smiling at another brother. I try to remind myself, smile at other brothers. If you see a brother that look nice, compliment them. Or you see, if you see somebody look nice, tell them you look nice today. Just something to make them smile, because you don't know what people are going through. We talking about suicide prevention. There's a lot of people suffering from a lot of stuff. I know somebody whose brother died 2-3 weeks ago. She posted something today on Facebook that, sounds suicidal. So I reached out to her. Another friend of mine posted something last night. He said, basically it's been raining a lot for me in my life lately. So I hit him up and was like, hey, if you ever need me, I'm here, I'm praying for you. Like sometimes people just need to know there is a glimpse of hope somewhere, and we have to do that. We, no matter what your religion is, at some point you got to say, like, I'm a human, so let me just think about somebody else and how I want to be treated. So,
well, and I think you bring up something very important when we're talking about the youth too, man. Like, they go through a lot, and we're talking about suicide and things of that nature. This is September. I know school is starting back, for a lot, middle school, high school, college, what have you. These are like transitions in people's lives, and stuff, that's going on. They may feel like they have no one to, talk to. We're going to be going into the winter months, which means it's not going to be as sunny, during the day. And we know, man, once we get into that November, December kick, and now it's snowing, and now we have this seasonal depression, more gray, gloomy days, or what have you. It's hard, and, you already have to deal with the fact of being like a teenager, in today's society, with social media and everything else that's going on. It can be rough, man. It can be rough, like to just get from point A to point B. What are some of the things? I mean, I know you just talked about like a few incidences, that, have like happened or what have you, but what are some of the things that you've like come across, that you see like you really struggling with these days, man?
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head for the most part with youth. There are so many young people facing adversity in ways that I myself didn't have as a teenager. I remember my mother and I having a conversation when I got a little older, and we talked about some of the trauma that I had experienced and things that I had suffered with. And she said to me, some of the things you've gone through, we went through those things too, but we didn't have the language for those things. Or we didn't realize that those things were traumatic. We didn't realize that those things were wrong, or those things were things that somebody should have been like called out for, right? And so as I look, I feel like to a certain degree, each generation gets wiser or more informed, rather, about the language they can put to it. The kids now have social media. I didn't have social media as a child. In my opinion, children shouldn't have social media because of the pressures that it creates as an adult. As an adult, sometimes I have to tell myself, you've been on social media too long, because you're comparing yourself to people that you shouldn't compare yourself to. You're comparing yourself how you look to people who their pictures are photoshopped and airbrushed. Like, you trying to be perfect. Like, what are you doing? Like, you wasting your time. This is time you could be spending on empowering yourself, improving yourself, going to the gym, whatever your, those things are. And so as an adult, I have those deductive reasoning skills. Children don't have those. And so I think there are a lot of things. We talk about TikTok. There's a documentary out that talks about the danger of TikTok and how TikTok literally is the only social media app that will collectively take all of what you call your cache, which is every site you visited, every algorithm. It takes all the things you've done on your phone and it stores all your cache. So if you look at something about cigarettes, it's going to show you videos of people smoking cigarettes. If you come across something about supplements, it's going to show you stuff about supplements. So that could be good or bad. And so these young people, I know a lot of kids who have TikTok because in theory, TikTok seems very simple. Until you start realizing that the kids are being exposed at an early age to things like pornography and drugs and alcohol and other substances. I remember being in school with kids who were taking Percocets and things like that for recreation, like popping pills on a bus. But I was in high school. This is happening younger and younger. And so I think unfortunately, there's a lot of mishaps happening. There are a lot of kids suffering from suicidal ideations and in turn are committing suicide. I just got word from one of my family members that a kid in a school back home committed suicide in the school yesterday. So it's very disheartening, and it is imperative that as an adult, whether you have children or not, you are engaged with those young people around you. I don't have children. I have more God kids than I can count. I think I'm at like 9. And I don't necessarily see them all the time. But when I do see them, I have conversations with them. How's life going? How's school going? Are you getting into fights? Are people bullying you? How does it make you feel? My nephew, my oldest nephew was 20. He'll be 23, I think, this December in a couple months. And when I have conversations with him, I'm like, I try to esteem him. I remember one day we were driving. He's in college, so we're driving. And I said something to him, and I was like, you do know you're handsome, right? And he was like, and it bothered me. Because I'm like, where in your life did you get told that you weren't handsome? Like, where did it enter your mind that you didn't have this affirmation that like, you're smart, you're good looking, like you are a great guy. And so I just took that moment, probably for the next 15, 20 minutes, and just begin to rattle all this stuff off that I thought about him. And he was like, Uncle, thank you. He was like, because people don't really talk to me like that. Like my dad does, my mom does here and there. He's got other uncles on both his mom and his dad's side, but he and I have a different relationship. We're really tight. And so I try to take those moments to affirm him. So I encourage adults to affirm kids and have hard conversations. I asked him about sex and life and love and education and his career choices and what he does at his leisure. I don't understand half the stuff that he says when it comes to like these games and these systems and what he does on Twitch with his friends and in these metaverses and all this. I don't understand all that, but I ask him about it because it's important for me to know that he knows I'm here for him.
And so, you know what, man, and there it is. He knows that you're there for him. He has someone that he can talk to, like, as you just said, like, I mean, man, even like for like the younger groups out here, even for those guys who are like 18 to 20, 22, 25, it's hard for them to get around each other sometimes and have those types of conversations, because they're really wrapped up in what's, going on as far as social media, trying to keep up, with, the Joneses and this, that, and the other. And hey, I get it. I understand. Man, look, doom scrolling, brother. That's what it's called. Man, the first thing you do when you get up in the morning, you grab that phone. Usually, it should be to look for something positive. Sometimes, 9 times out of 10, it ain't nothing positive. Man, we looking for that first thing that's going to set us off for the rest of the day. And now I've been set off for the rest of the day. But, and for like younger, people, man, like it ain't nothing, because their whole image is wrapped up in social media. And
absolutely.
If you go against that, then, there's all kinds of issues or whatever. So really having someone to sit back and talk to them and be like, yo, you okay, I understand you're upset because you feel this person is disrespecting you, or your ops and all this other stuff out here talking, this, that, or what have you. Because trust me, I know, man. I've done special education for 8 years, bro, man.
Okay.
It's,
so you hip.
Man, yes, brother. I be feeling, all right? Just some of the conversations, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna walk around the corner and come back. And we gonna have the same conversation. I'm just hoping for a totally different answer than pretty much what I just got. But no, like, having those hard conversations, really talking to them, really getting them to think, because I think that's just what it is sometimes. And you talk about TikTok being an influence, like you have youth out here, like their mentality is, I don't want a job. I'm gonna blow up off TikTok. I'm gonna make a video and blow up off, man. I'm gonna do these reels. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I can make money doing this. Such and such is doing this. Such and such is doing that. And then when it doesn't work the way they want it to work, how they see someone else doing it, now all of a sudden, you're having a meltdown in a totally different way. Now you're even more depressed because, I mean, man, you deal with youth just like I deal with youth, especially, I like talking to youth about transition, you know what I'm saying? Especially transition from high school to life. It's not guaranteed you're going to go to college, all right? Like you're jumping into life. Whether you go to school or not, you're jumping into life. Sometimes you're going to make those comparisons. You're going to see someone that you used to be friends with or whatever. Y'all was cool in school. Now they went to college or whatever. And you see that they may have something that you don't have, but you sort of wish you did, because you think if you get, this degree or whatever, life is going to turn around or what have you. But they're not highlighting their struggles, because trust me, they're going through things, but because you feel as if, man, they went to school and got their degree, they're better than. And that's not always the case. And we really need to talk about stuff like that, because, that's when the competition comes into play. That's when the jealousy comes into play. That's when, you get to talking about, and it's really a big misunderstanding. Like, it's just the perception versus what's real.
Absolutely. It's funny. I'm going to say this last thing about the TikTok thing.
Talk to me.
We can move on. But I wish I remember the name of the documentary, because it taught about a young lady who, she went viral like twice within maybe a couple months of each other. And then people started hitting her up. She was one of the first youth influencers. Mm-hmm. By the time she was 16, she was suffering from depression because she had dropped out of school because she was making more money than both her parents combined. She was making like she was signing multi-million-dollar contracts for like advertisements and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so she was like, making content was no longer fun to her because she was making all this money. But then she realized she wasn't doing prom, she wasn't socializing with her friends, because a lot of times when people will be doing their 9 to 5 is when she would be doing her TikTok stuff. She's like, and then when her friends are out of school, they're doing after school activities. Well, she was a part of that. She couldn't go to the school to, hang out on the track field. She had to be, in a place whether it's home or somewhere with friends that they could be socializing, but sometimes she didn't have that. And she thought about how challenging it became because she wasn't in the know of what was happening day to day in school. She didn't know who wore this outfit. She didn't know who, was dating this guy or whatever. That's what made her feel so ostracized. And so, like you said, a lot of young people are waiting for that one thing to just pop. And honestly, we don't know if it ever will. I post all the time, hoping that somebody will see me sing something and be like, oh, I'm signing him tomorrow. As soon as he wake up, he gonna have a contract in his email. But it hasn't happened yet. And I keep posting it, but I also am realistic. I'm an indie gospel artist. I fund my own music. So I'm gonna continue to fund my own music until I either don't have another choice or I've been given a better option. So it's really important for us to realize that transition piece is really major. And it's kudos to you for having those conversations, because I think every youth need to have that. They need to know that.
Look. We're going to talk about that after we done with this interview. But seriously, man, if you ever need somebody to really speak, Zoom or whatever, just talk to the youth about transitioning and this and the other, I don't care what it is, man, holla at me. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like that's my jam. Okay, for real. That is my jam. Like, man, that is just what I do for free. You know what I'm saying? I can get paid to do that. You know.
Gotcha.
But you know, as you said, we really need to get real. Seriously, like us as adults, we really need to get real. Like if we like expect certain respect and certain things out of these, you know, youth or what have you, we really need to get real about what's going on. You know, I talk about, so we're talking about mental health, right? Okay. For a kid that, you know, maybe going through homelessness, all right? Man, this kid probably doesn't know where they're going to sleep. They're probably going to be sleeping in whatever area, you know, for like a couple of days, maybe a week, okay? They're coming to school, clothes not clean, all right? Man, you already know how it is. That's strike one, your parents, okay? So your clothes not clean, you may be getting okay grades, you know, but you slipping a little bit, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're not eating on a regular, you're not eating anything nutritious. Anything that you're eating that's somewhat nutritional is coming from the school. And I'm gonna keep it real. Man, some of y'all people, man, on these school boards and get mad. I done worked in the school. Man, at lunch, y'all need to stop that. For real. Straight up.
Right.
Man, y'all need to upgrade that. Straight up. Man, come on. Help them babies out. All right, for real. Even I'll be like, man, I'm gonna pray for you after you eat that. But you know, but no, like, you know, there are so many factors that go in. Now all of a sudden, man, I get to this place where I'm supposed to be learning. Man, I'm told to sit in my chair or whatever, sit here, concentrate, learn, leave here, go here, don't, you know, over socialize, be in class on time. Like there are all these rules and norms of these places that we're supposed to be building up these people that they have to follow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, like when we get those rebels, the ones who don't follow the rules, now there's an issue because, see, we're not really built to deal with that. And that's reality because you're going to have these types of situations. Right. I don't care if you're working from home. I don't care if you have your own business. I don't care if you're working in a business office or whatever. There's always going to be someone or something that's going to be out of your control. You're going to know how to handle that. So, man, yo, you keep doing what you're doing, brother, because you are fighting a good fight and you're doing good in the hood. Now,
thanks, bro.
If people want to get in contact with you, if anybody wants to like get in touch with you, man, they want to see what you about, anything, everything, social media, websites, what have you, how can they do so?
Well, I want to say this. Thank you again for allowing me to be on this platform. I am on all digital platforms. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I'm not on Twitter, but I'm Cheston D. Green on both Facebook and Instagram. I have music out. I am a singer and songwriter. I have 3 songs that are currently out. A song called Identity, a song called Show Me, and a song called Hosanna. And I'm going to give you the exclusive to October 7th, my next single, the Identity remix is coming out. Okay. And then I have an EP coming out. We don't have that date yet, but it's literally being mixed right now. I've been having text messages and phone calls, and 2 of my team members have called me just now, like, hey, we go listen to this song and figure out if the mix is right. So I have music on all platforms. I am a gospel artist, but it doesn't necessarily sound like Sunday morning gospel. But you can find those songs on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you can stream music, that's where it is. And you can go to my website, chestondgreen.com. I have a little bit of everything there. It tells you about all my brothers. I believe it tells you about Single Saved and Social. It also tells you about my music. I have a pre-release party coming up October the 15th at 5 p.m. in Columbia, Maryland. And it's $10 before September 15th. And up until I want to say the 12th of October, it's going to be 15. But it's going to be fun. I'm singing all new music. I'm going to do a couple covers. We're going to have some conversations, and we're going to celebrate. I will be a resident of Maryland for 10 years tomorrow. And so this is something else I want to kind of put under my belt, putting out this EP. So I'm excited.
Okay, man. Look here, the brother. Congrats. All right.
Thank you.
Congrats on that 10-year anniversary. And look, man, look here, y'all. All right. Cheston, what's that? P Green?
Cheston the Green.
I'm sorry. ChestonDGreen.com. ChestonDGreen.com, ladies and gentlemen. Man, go there. Support the websites. Y'all know I'm a big supporter of them websites. Y'all got to hit them websites, okay, man? Y'all got to run that number up. All right.
Yes, please.
But no, for real, man. Run that number up, brother. But man, seriously, like, be on the lookout. Stream that music. Okay.
Please.
Man.
Buy it, then stream it. Again, buy it,
stream
then
it.
stream it.
Go ahead and lead them stars. Lead them 4 or 5 stars. Y'all, man, come on. I know y'all. Look, stop playing with me. We ain't even have this conversation with y'all today. But but no, man, look here. I have enjoyed this conversation. But I've come to my last question, and this is the question that my show is known for. I would love to get your response.
Okay.
What is the one word that best describes you and why?
Authenticity. I say authenticity because as you listen to my music, as you encounter me on social media, I'm very transparent, I'm very honest, and I'm very authentic about who I am. I cannot be anybody else than who God has created me to be. I've had life challenges, I've had struggles, I've had ups and downs. I have been suicidal before, but I'm still here, and I always, at whatever opportunity I get, I always authentically tell my story. And I just believe in being myself. I can't be nobody else. I tried it, it didn't work. So authenticity is the one word I would use to describe myself.
So, hey, look, I love it. I love it, man. Hey, man, champion. For real, you know, I know I said amazing earlier, but like champion, man, just everything that you're doing and, you know, your story. And I mean, man, look, we didn't set up here, we didn't have church, y'all. I don't know if y'all really realize what just happened for like the last hour or so, but I mean, we've been having church. Y'all been in it on, man. I mean, you know, I just like the fact that, man, as you said, you are your true, authentic self. Man, I appreciate all of that energy, man. You bringing it, you know, to the platform, us having our exchange, and, you know, man, people getting to know more about Mr. Cheston Green. Okay?
Yes.
All right? Go to that website, people. Man, run them numbers up. All right? On that note, ladies and gentlemen, man, this has been Word with Ty Brownlow. I've been your host, Ty Brownlow. Remember, no one is worthless. No story is worthless. You can follow me, all social media platforms, Word with Ty Brownlow. Or you could just go to my website, tybrownlow.com. Websites, all right. Man, you can get this wonderful interview, plus other great interviews. Cheston Green, we out.
Peace.
Peace.